Man, I'm actually kind of bummed out, y'all, because, I like to plug in some sort of over the top, goofy skit for every single preview video. And I don't know if I just got creator's block right now, or maybe I'm feeling a little down and out from the season, but I got nothing. So I'm super disappointed. One thing I do know, however, is that your boy Coop needs to go pee, and maybe I'll have an epiphany while I'm peeing, and I'll be able to come up with some kind of skit for this video. And I literally just pressed record, and I don't like doing a ton of extra editing. It's just a lot of work, guys. So don't make this weird, but I'm gonna take y'all with me. Like, it's so much easier. I don't have to do any cuts or any of that stuff. And I think I can figure out a way to pull the camera off of the stand. I'm pretty sure I can remove it. Give me a second. Bingo. Okay, we got it. Now, like I said, don't make this weird. Y'all, of course, I don't want to get demonetized or get in trouble on YouTube. I'm not going to show anything. Don't be silly. But I'd rather just take y'all with me because it just makes this so much easier. So hold on, just give me a second. This won't take long. Before we get into the video, I just want to remind you guys that I have some new Miami themed shirts on the merch store, and you can check them out by clicking the top link down in my description. I really think that this is some of the most unique Canes game day gear on the market. You're gonna love them. What's going on, Canes fans? First off, I hate to burst your bubble, but that was actually just a little makeshift squirt bottle and a little bit of lemonade in the intro. I will say, however, that the Clemson decal in the toilet is 100% real, and it will in fact be staying there for this entire week. Second off, can you guys believe that the regular season of college football is almost over? There's literally only a few games left, so just keep that in mind when watching college football over the next few weeks. Try to really take it in and enjoy it as much as possible, regardless of what your team's current record is, because I can promise you that come January, February, we're all going to be crying, moaning, and complaining because there's no college football on Saturdays. And again, I'll be one of those people, but I'm trying to just remind myself, Coop, enjoy these last couple of weeks of the regular season. Now, one last thing I do want to mention before we dive into today's preview video is the fact that we are almost at 20,000 subscribers on this channel. I'm going to pop up the number somewhere around in here. I'm pretty sure that we're less than 400 away. And I had originally set a goal in the offseason to hit 20,000 subscribers by the end of 2022. And after the Middle Tennessee loss, views kind of started to drop off a little bit, and I just kind of set that goal to the side. I really stopped mentioning it. I figured that, we probably wouldn't hit it because there weren't a lot of good things going on for Miami. But now that I see how close we are, if I could ask one favor, if you guys could tell your baby mama, your baby daddy, your aunt, your uncle, your twin sister, the stray cat down the street about Coach Coop's YouTube channel and ask them to subscribe, I would very much appreciate it. Can we still hit 20K in 2022? We'll find out. So right out of the gate, just be honest with me down in the comments. Do you think that Miami realistically has any chance of beating Clemson on Saturday? Just keep it real. Be honest. Let me know. The Tigers have represented the gold standard in the ACC since at least 2015. They are the team that all other ACC teams have aspired to be, whether they want to admit that or not. Many believed that they wouldn't be very good this year. This was going to be Clemson's downfall. But here they are sitting at 9-1 and undefeated in the ACC. They have future first-round NFL draft picks sprinkled all throughout their defense, and even though their quarterback DJ Ukulele lacks consistency and accuracy, you can't deny the fact that his stats are far better this season when compared to last year. Just to give you guys one example, DJ last season had 9 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, literally more interceptions than touchdowns. But so far this season, he has 19 touchdowns with only 5 interceptions. And let's also not forget that Clemson has a very physical downhill running back in Shipley. But there's all this talk about Clemson. What about the Miami Hurricanes? Well, you know, there's no reason to dive too deep into it because we all know that we're really just not that great in 2022. I mean, we're 5-5. Yes, we're coming off of a win against a bad Georgia Tech team, but I will say that there seems to be some new life that has been breathed into the fan base, and it's mostly because of true freshman quarterback Ja'Carri Brown. He's the definition of a true dual threat quarterback. This guy helps the offense overall run a little bit better, even considering how much the O-line is struggling. Most believe that he will start this game against Clemson, and I agree. I believe that that makes the most sense, and I think that Tyler Van Dyke's injury is far more significant than we've been told. And also, even if it's not, it just doesn't make sense to rush TVD back out there because Ja'Carri Brown really probably does give us our best chance given his running ability. But just keep in mind that young guys are going to make mistakes. It's not if, but when. And this is a big-time game in Death Valley. This would be a true freshman quarterback's second start. So just keep that in mind when he comes out there. If he throws an interception or makes some kind of really silly mental decision, you know, just remember that. Now let's briefly take a look at the history between these two teams. Miami and Clemson have faced off 12 times in total, and I actually thought it had been more than that, but only 12 times in total, and the series is actually tied at 6 games apiece. The last matchup took place in 2020, and the Tigers won that game 42-17. Now, another heartbreaking stat that Miami fans probably do not want to hear is the fact that Clemson has outscored Miami 138-20 over the last 3 matchups. Yes, I said 138-20. Hold on, I gotta go get some fresh air. Oh, but with that out of the way, let's jump over and take a quick look at some average stats so far this season for both of these teams. So in the 2022 season so far, average points per game for Clemson coming in at 34, Miami at 26. Points allowed against them per game so far, Clemson 21, Miami 24. Average yards so far this season per game, Clemson coming in at 409, Miami 393, and yards allowed against them per game, Clemson 341 and Miami 355. And now let's transition over to 3 keys to a victory for both of these squads in this game. And I'm going to try to keep it short, sweet, and to the point, but you guys know that is definitely a struggle for me. So we'll see how this thing goes. We're going to go ahead and kick it off with Miami. Coming in at number 1, give running back Don Chaney Jr. some snaps if he's healthy and if he has a good week of practice. Now, I understand that this can be scary for multiple reasons. Chaney has missed the entire season due to injury, so you don't want to rush him in and possibly re-injure something. Also, you take a guy who hasn't played all season and then give him snaps against our toughest opponent of the season. I know it might sound a little crazy. Some of you are scratching your head. But if he's ready to rock, Chaney is a very complete back. I'm sure he will be on a limited snap count, which is understandable. But I can guarantee you that he's ready to make an impact if you give him a chance. And again, if he's healthy. Number 2, let's not be afraid to let Ja'Carri take some deep shots in this one. I understand that he definitely needs to work on timing and accuracy, which those things will come with time. The dude is a true freshman, but he undoubtedly has the arm strength, and they are probably expecting mostly short and intermediate passes. I think that we could maybe surprise them a bit with some deep shots. And lastly, Miami must play with a chip on their shoulder. There's no denying that Clemson has been stacking and developing talent at a much higher level for far longer than Miami. Let's come in and play like absolute dogs in this one. And now 3 keys to a victory for the Clemson Tigers in this one. And coming in at number 1, blitz the heck out of Miami. A depleted O-line and a true freshman versus a D-line that's playing extremely well has me super nervous. We all know that Jakari is very mobile, but Clemson should and will try to pressure him into some bad situations. Number 2, if Clemson finds themselves in many third down situations, they need to find a way to convert more of them. Over the last 2 weeks, they are 8 of 24 on third down efficiency. I don't follow Clemson closely enough to really know the solution for that, but it definitely will need to be better. And lastly, this might sound really silly, but don't overlook Miami. We have some younger guys finally playing that are pretty hungry and are trying to prove themselves. The Tigers are already locked in for the ACC championship game, so I would love it if maybe they find themselves looking past the Hurricanes. And now, the moment you all live for. So many of you woke up extra early today because you just couldn't sleep, because you knew that I was going to be posting this video and you wanted to see my score prediction for this matchup. It's okay, I completely understand, and I am here today to deliver. But also do not forget that I will be bringing on my special celebrity guest picker, and he will be giving his pick and score prediction for this one as well. But hold up, wait a minute. Before we get into that, I like to mention the completely pointless, doesn't mean a thing, ESPN matchup predictor. And woo! Let me tell you, they are not big fans of Miami in this one. They have the Canes win percentage chance coming in at a measly, pitiful, disgusting 9.3%, and Clemson at a whopping 90.7%. Clemson is actually around a 19 to 19.5 point favorite in this game, and the over-under is coming in right around 48 points. So if you are a die-hard ride-or-die Canes fan and you believe that we get the upset, this is your game to take Miami on the money line and I guess walk away with some money, you know, if you're confident that that's the outcome. But anyways, it is time for me to bring on my special celebrity guest picker. I'm really excited for this one. Let's do this. Introducing yet another guy that I once raced in a 40-yard dash, but I'm pretty sure he fell and cracked a rib. We'll get some clarification on that here in just a moment. This dude can smack a wiffle ball way past the fence in his backyard. DJ Ukulele's biggest fan and Clemson YouTuber, Pigskin Pete. Y'all show Pete some love down in the comment section.
Wow, I gotta say, man, that's probably the best intro I've ever got on YouTube ever. So kudos to you for that. You made me feel good for a minute.
Hey, well, you know what's pretty crazy? You are the first guest I've had that I kind of just made that up as I went right now.
That was great.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
Yeah. Now, can we go ahead before we jump in and start talking about this? Can we get some clarification on the 40-yard dash thing? Because you were hurting that day whenever we left. So what became of that? What happened?
First of all, I would like to say I was not the only one to fall. I was the first to fall, and I was the only one to fall twice in the same 40 yards. But the reason everybody saw me fall is because I was in front of them. I mean, if they were in front of me, they would have never seen me fall. So I was in front of them. I fell, and they all passed me. You know the story. But there was ice and snow on the ground. I'm going with that. That's really my excuse. And we saved that event for last, and we probably should have done it earlier in the day because I was already worn out by then. You know,
Yeah.
we did all the other events. That was the last one, and so my legs were jello. So I'm blaming it on the ice, snow, and the fact that my legs were tired. But
That's fair.
yeah, I did. I didn't actually crack my ribs. I thought I did. I guess they were just really badly bruised because I came home and after about a week or so, they weren't feeling any better. So I went to the doctor and got x-rayed and all that. And the funny thing was being in the doctor's office, and the doctor says, "So tell me what happened." I said, "You wouldn't even believe it if I told you." He said, "Okay, fair enough."
It's funny because a lot of people on my channel, I didn't get the opportunity to upload a lot of clips from the Slob Olympics. So the other night I had Traveling Fools on and I was like, yeah, I raced this dude one time and he was dressed up as Bigfoot and everyone was just so confused. It's like the best thing ever. So I love it. It was definitely way too cold that day, man. It was rough.
It's about 15 degrees and 25, 30 mile an hour winds. It was brutal. It was brutal.
So for those of you who don't know, Pigskin Pete does have a YouTube channel where he covers the Clemson Tigers. And I wanted to ask you how long you've been doing this, because I think this is my 6th year on YouTube, and I think you're pretty close to that, right?
Yeah, so October was 5th anniversary, so 5 years and a couple of months. And
okay. Pete does a lot of call-in shows, a lot of really good content. I'm personally a fan of the State of the Fan address that you do every week. I think that's really cool. And what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to link Pete's social media stuff and his YouTube channel down in my description. It's also going to be posted up somewhere on here, probably above his head. You guys got to remember that we're playing Clemson this week, but we also play them next year, and we also play them in 2024. So you're going to want to be able to jump over there, maybe troll him if we find a way to win one of those years. I'm just saying, so you're definitely going to want to check him out. It's some top-notch stuff. And I also wanted to ask you, because I don't have kids. I know that you have some kids. You're on YouTube. The cool thing for kids these days is Twitch, YouTube. Do your kids think you're a cool YouTube streamer, or how does that work?
No.
No?
Both of them watch a lot of YouTube. But they have no interest in college football. Well, at least my oldest one doesn't. My youngest one, he's still a little bit young to get into. He's still into whatever the 7-year-olds and 8-year-olds watch on YouTube, which is not what I do. Maybe they might think it's cool that I'm a YouTuber, but they have zero interest in my content at all.
So maybe if you were streaming like Minecraft or Grand Theft Auto or something,
exactly.
They might. I got you.
There you go.
I got you. That makes sense. I always just kind of found that interesting because my nephews think I'm like the cool uncle. They're always showing their friends at school, like, look, my uncle's on YouTube. It's so cool. But it's kind of the same thing. They don't have a clue what I'm talking about. They don't even know who the Miami Hurricanes are. So
yeah, maybe when they get a little bit older, they'll appreciate it more. But true. Right now, they just don't care.
Fair. Now, I know in my intro, I made a little joke about you being DJ's biggest fan. I have to ask you, and you, Pete, you can be honest, all right? How do you feel about DJ? Are you a fan of him or not? Because I'm seeing Clemson fans all around scream that they want Cade. How does Pete feel?
So I am a fan of DJ.
Okay.
It's difficult because, I'm really a fan of DJ the guy more than I am DJ the football player, but I also do have a lot of respect for DJ as a football player. And look, after the season he had last year, I was a little bit on the fence like most people were. Let's see what happened, because there's a lot of different reasons the way he looked in 2021. It wasn't all him, believe me. But he came out of the gate in the Georgia Tech game, which is week 1, and the offense looked pretty similar to it did in 2021. It just didn't look good. And so, like most fans do, I go off the deep end the next day with my State of the Fan address. I start calling for them to bench DJ. We need to see what Cade looks like. And then after that, DJ started playing really well. And Dabo Swinney's been very clear from day one that DJ is his guy. He's never, ever once said, now he'll say, the best player is going to play this and that, and there's a competition, but all coaches say that.
Yeah.
But he's been very clear that DJ's my guy. And so, but DJ played really well. He was having a phenomenal season all the way up until Syracuse, and everything the wheels fell off, and it was like, here we go again. Flashbacks of 2021. And then that sort of carried over into the next week against Notre Dame. Although that was more of there was a lot of issues in that game too. But anyway, to answer your question, I trust Dabo's evaluation of who the best quarterback is. And this is based on history. If you go back to 2018, when Trevor Lawrence came in as the hotshot 5-star quarterback, and Kelly Bryant was the starter. He had been waiting behind Deshaun Watson for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
It was finally Kelly Bryant's team. All Kelly Bryant does is go out there and go 4-0 in the first 4 games of the season, and looked really good doing it too. It wasn't like, he just was scraping by. And Dabo Sweeney benches him and puts in Lawrence, and because of the 4-game redshirt rule. And the rest is history. They go on to win a national championship that year. It's really hard to bench a guy who's been on your team for 3 years and goes out there and looks good for the first 4 games and wins. But he did it. So when Dabo Sweeney says in 2022 that DJ is the best option that we have on this team, I have to believe him. So that's where I stand with that. And I am a fan of DJ. I wish him nothing but the best, but he has his deficiencies. And he's just very inconsistent. When DJ's playing his best game, he's as good as anybody in the country, right? But when he's not, man, it's either way up here or way down here. There's not really an in between with him. Yeah,
that's fair. That's a very level-headed response. I can respect that. For us, we're currently rocking with our third-string quarterback because we have issues with Tyler Van Dyke getting injured. We put in Jake Garcia against Florida State. He throws a pick. He's had like 6 or 7 turnovers this season in just his few snaps that he's played. So it's the quarterback situation is always, something that fans argue about all season long, of course. So with Clemson, I also wanted to ask you right quick, and then we're about to get into our picks and everything for this game. I mean, you guys are sitting at 9-1 right now with your only loss to Notre Dame. 2 games left on the schedule, Miami and South Carolina. You're already locked in for the ACC championship game against North Carolina. Realistically, how far does Clemson take this thing this year? I mean, I'm not asking for a prediction necessarily because it's tough to do that, right? But I mean, like, are you feeling good? Like, I mean, also, I think North Carolina is also 9-1, if I'm not mistaken, facing them in the conference championship. I mean,
yeah, and Clemson's weakness this year is struggling against a really good passing quarterback and a mobile quarterback, which Drake May is. Mm-hmm. But to answer your question about how far do I see them taking this, I suspect that Clemson will win out and win the ACC. Now, that's definitely not a given, but I suspect that's what will happen. My fear, and this is going to sound terrible, this is where the fan police are going to come after me. My fear is that they'll go 12-1 and backdoor their way in the playoffs. You say, well, what kind of fan would not want to see their team in the playoffs? Well, I guess this one, because I just don't think that they are a national championship caliber team. So every year that Clemson's been in the playoffs so far, I mean, they've been in 6 years. Every year going into that, I've had a feeling that there's at least a chance that they can win this thing. Mm-hmm. I don't have that feeling this year, mainly because of the offense, and mainly and also because of some of the other teams that will also be in the playoffs. So, in my estimation, I know a lot of people, especially Clemson people, have some sort of expectation for Clemson to make the playoffs every year because they've made it so many times, and that's the only way the season is considered to be successful. That's not the way I think as a fan. So, just winning the ACC and being 12-1 is already an amazing season, as far as I'm concerned. If they get that Orange Bowl bid and somehow pull that out 13-1, that's really where the road that I would like to go down. A big bowl win, ACC championship. I'd be happy with that.
Let me tell you, Miami fans would definitely settle for that in 2022.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I try to tell people. It's like, you know how many teams around the country would love to be in the position that Clemson's in right now? I mean,
oh yeah.
So I totally get it. Listen, I've been there. I've been exactly where if you're over the age of 30, you've been following college football. I don't care which team you follow. We've all been through those years that are tough. All of us.
Yeah, I mean, no matter how much, even as Miami fans, like, we want to throw shade and hate on Clemson, you guys have honestly kind of set the standard in the ACC over the last, at least 5 to 7 years, as far as I can remember.
Yeah.
So, let me also ask you one last quick one that I got to get in there before we get to our picks. Is there a college football team out there that you just cannot stand, or maybe a fan base that just gets on your last nerve. I'm giving you an opportunity here to say something if you want to say it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
See
I've
what I'm
got you.
putting down?
I got you. So here's the deal. Everybody knows I hate the University of South Carolina. I hate their university. I hate their fans. I hate their colors. I hate their football team. I hate their stadium. I hate the city that the university resides in. I hate everything about it. But that's the easy cop out because I'm a Clemson guy.
True.
And everybody, I mean, the feeling is mutual. They hate me and everything about Clemson just as much. So let's take it outside of the state of South Carolina and let's take it outside of the ACC. And let's go with the worst fan base in the history of the sport, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, anybody...
Oh, they're going to love you for that one, Pete.
Well, look, I've got a long-standing relationship with the Buckeyes, but since I've been on YouTube, there's been several games, between the two teams, and those are some of my favorite weeks leading into those games. Is going back and forth with them, and quite honestly, some of the favorite videos that I've ever done have been about Ohio State. So, yeah,
you just scored some brownie points with Miami fans. Let me tell you. You went from there was going to be at least a handful that jumped over and subscribed to your channel. Now it's going to be hundreds, possibly thousands. I'm just letting you know. So
that's great. That's great. I don't know if you knew this. I think I've told you this before. Have I ever been on your show before? You've been on mine.
You have not. I've been on yours. You've not been on mine. This is the first time.
Yeah. I've been with so many different people, I lose track. But anyway, I've told this story before. Whenever I started my YouTube channel in 2017, it was in October. And that year was the year that Notre Dame and Miami. Remember when Notre Dame came down to Miami?
Oh, yeah.
So Miami was undefeated, right? I think Notre Dame was undefeated at the time. I, at the time, had only been like maybe 3 or 4 weeks into YouTube at all. I didn't know what I was doing. I had maybe 40 or 50 subscribers. Nobody was watching. Anyway, one day I go on and make a video out of nowhere, kind of trash talking Miami and Mark Richt. And didn't think anything of it, uploaded it, went to bed, woke up the next morning. And then I went from 40 or 50 subscribers, whatever it was at the time, to several hundred overnight. And the video that I posted the night before, where most of my videos were getting 40 and 50 views, had over 3,000 views. All Miami people.
Yep.
So I've had a very interesting relationship with Miami fans over the past 5 years on YouTube. Mostly good, some not good. But I do credit Miami fans for really jumpstarting the channel in the beginning, because you remember when you started doing this, Coop, like, I don't know if some people have an idea about, you just go out there and start making videos and within, 3 weeks, you're going to have 1,000 subscribers. And you just don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
But it's very easy. The reason most people quit YouTube in the beginning is because you get discouraged early because there's low numbers, nobody's watching. And so that was kind of like, for me, like, hey, there's something here. Like, I had nobody watching. Now there's 4,000 people watching this one video. It sort of gave me the motivation to continue making videos. So I've really got to give a lot of credit to the Miami fans for showing up and showing out for your boy. They kind of really jump-started my channel, for real.
We're pretty cool people, right?
Yeah, there's a ton of you.
Yeah, especially online. People always make the joke that we don't show up in person, but online, Miami fans are as numerous as the stars.
We always make jokes about how many Miami YouTubers there are, which is true. There is a lot more of them than probably anybody else, but you are one of my favorite. Always have been.
I do feel like, guys, that Pete is really, because that's 2 times now that he's complimented Miami fans. I think that he's really trying to stack up the brownie points because of what we're leading into with this next segment, what he's probably about to say. I don't know. I'm not going to put words in his mouth. But what we're going to do is both give our picks for this game. Now, I am going to give a pick and score prediction for it. Pete is not obligated to give a score prediction. He can if he wants to, if he's feeling a little ballsy, a little frisky this morning, or he can just give the pick. I'm going to let that be up to him. What I will do is I will take some pressure off of you, Pete, and I will give my pick first. But I do want to say one thing before I give this pick. I'm actually going to go ahead and write it down before I say this. So there was one thing that I got right about Clemson during the offseason, and there's one thing that I got very wrong. The thing I got right is I said that Clemson would actually be better than what most non-Clemson fans were saying about them. If you'll remember, I came on one of your shows and, a lot of people were dogging Clemson. They said, this is the year that Clemson goes down. This is their off year. They're not going to be very good. And I'm on record saying, I think they're actually going to be just fine. I think they'll be pretty good this year. Now, what I was very wrong about is I also popped on a show with you, and I said that this game would be Mario Cristobal's signature win in the 2022 season that would solidify his position as the Miami Hurricanes' new head coach. And unfortunately, I am backpedaling and retracting that statement that I made in the offseason. Pete, again, I mean, Miami fans are feeling a little more hopeful because we just beat a bad Georgia Tech team. I like Jakari Brown, our technically third man up in the quarterback room. He's mobile. He makes this offense look a little bit different, but you guys have been stacking and developing talent at a much higher level than we have been, and you've been doing it for a long time. So I do not think Miami is there right now. I got 34-17, Clemson dub. The floor is yours, Pete.
So you're pretty close to what I said. As soon as you said you were going to write it down, I started writing down. So
I saw you doing it. So
it's pretty close, and actually my score is closer than yours. But of course, I do have the Clemson Tigers winning the game.
Okay.
I have Clemson winning 31-21, so a 10-point victory, which would not cover the spread. By the way, I think the spread is, what was it, 19? It's a lot.
It's like 19 or 19 and a half. It's floating around in there. Yep.
Well, I have definitely flip-flopped from just last night when I did the Lunch Money show with Uncle Blue. When I had Clemson covering the spread, I've now changed my mind. And the reason I've changed my mind is I've learned a little bit more about this quarterback that you got, the third string guy. So one of the Achilles heels for the Clemson defense, not only a guy that can really attack you downfield, is a mobile quarterback. And from what I'm hearing you say, is that this guy is a dual threat, or maybe even, is he more of a run first guy, or is he just a 50?
Yeah, he will kill you with his legs, man. And it's one of those things that my biggest issue with him is just that he's young. Like, he's a true freshman. His very first start was last week. Now, I mean, he's hungry. Like, that dude is a dog. He literally oozes athleticism. But the game in Death Valley against Clemson, his second start, like.
Yeah. So I would love to come out here and say that Clemson's going to win this 45-6. I would love nothing more to say that, but I don't know which Clemson team is going to show up from week to week. Fair. And if Clemson comes out there and puts it all together, this could be a blowout. If they do like they've been doing for the majority of the season, they'll let Miami hang around for a little while, and hopefully it doesn't even go worse, further south than that. But the mobile quarterback thing is definitely an Achilles heel for the Clemson defense. Now this defensive line is going to give him a long day. So he's going to be running, whether he's running for his life or running for design runs. Either way, he's going to be running a lot. And but like I say, like if you look at the Syracuse quarterback, I think he's hurt now, Schroeder or whatever his name is. Mm-hmm. He was tearing it up Clemson's defense on the ground. So that's really probably the key for Miami, is to effectively run the ball. And they might be able to hang in there.
Hey, man, look, I would love to be wrong. I would like to be 31-21 would still be, we're used to playing Clemson and it's like 48-0, 63-0. So, I can't necessarily be mad with the kind of season we've had, 5-5, if we could hang within 10 points of Clemson. I mean, still a loss, but I'll have a little smirk on my face, trying to think ahead. So there's our picks, guys. Both of us, unfortunately, picking Clemson to win this game on Saturday afternoon. Pete, do you have any closing statements, any words as we wrap this thing up?
I don't. I would like to let everybody know, because you have a lot of Miami viewers, obviously. I am going to the game this weekend, and I'm going with a group of people, a couple of Miami fans, a couple of Clemson fans. And so for any of you Miami people that are in Clemson, South Carolina, maybe you've been there before, maybe you haven't. We'll be there all weekend. So we're going up Friday, and we'll be there through Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon. So pay attention to my channel. If you want to come say hello, if we're hanging out or tailgating somewhere, the more the merrier. I would love to meet and shake your hand and hang out and have a beer with anybody who wants to. So look forward to seeing you all there.
Pete, you're the man. I would ask you to do this, but I know that's not going to happen.
Not
So,
today. Not today. No.
hey, I appreciate you, man.
All right, buddy.